You heard I'm going to talk about peace building in the Middle East. And I would start saying that it's interesting that as a person who was born and raised in Israel, I guess the most significant experience I had with peace building in the Middle East actually happened here at McGill. And it was while I did my master's here in the School of Social Work in a program that is called McGill Middle East McGill Middle East Program in Civil Society and Peace Building, which is a very long name to a far-reaching program both in its goals and its geography. So McGill Middle East Program, or in short, MEP, brings together students from Palestine, Jordan, and Israel to do their masters together in peaceful Canada. Now, all the fellows, after 1 year together, go back to the Middle East, to their communities, to work as community organizers in local NGOs that are working to engage, educate, and empower communities all over the Middle East. So they all return to the MEP 11 rights-based centers that you can see here on the map. These are all centers that share the same vision and common belief that social justice is the best, most reliable foundation for peace. And I mean real peace, positive peace, not just one that signed on paper by presidents or prime ministers, but a long-lasting, profound, and on-the-ground peace. And that can only be achieved through civic engagement, inclusion, and equality. So how does this huge program work? First of all, there are the fellowships. Being here together, students from Jordan, Palestine, and Israel together in cold Canada, allows us to get to know each other and build our own small networks of fellows now working in different places, but with one common method and goal. We all work to ensure and promote basic human, social, and economic rights of people across the Middle East. And although it is really unacceptable and sometimes it is even illegal for us to have connections to one another in our countries, we are all alumni of the same Canadian institution, McGill, and we all have connections to MEP. And this way, McGill becomes, the neutral, innocent partner, both in Israelis as well as Palestinian or Jordanian eyes. And although rarely, it enables us sometimes to even work together and collaborate. So for me, one of the most significant experience and powerful experience I had here was meeting Nuha and Muhammad that you can see here in the pictures. Nuha was a fellow with me, and Muhammad is her son, who was 3 years old when I first met him. And the thing that connected Nuha and me from the beginning was just a simple everyday need that mothers often encounter. Nuha needed a babysitter one afternoon a week. So I was available. I love babysitting. And I said I could do that, and Muhammad and I got along really great together. He's a smart, lively kid. And it's really interesting to see how, just everyday life bound here in this program without boundaries or walls that separates us can really connect people on a simple everyday act of solidarity. Now, the friendship that we developed here was really hard to maintain once we got back to the Middle East. Although Nuha and I live very close to each other, I live in Jerusalem, Nuha lives in Nablus. It's like the distance from here to St. Jerome. I don't know, maybe 40 minutes drive. But according to the Israeli law, I am not allowed to be in Nablus ever. And Nuha, in order to visit Jerusalem, she needs to get a special permit, which is very hard to get from the Israeli army. But nonetheless, our friendship has pushed us to find solutions and to get together. And since we've been back to the Middle East, we've met a few times, and we know other fellows are also keeping in touch over the years, some of them for over 10 years now. So MEP really builds those little small social networks of professionals across the Middle East. And today we're talking about over 50 graduates all doing the same work. Which brings me to the second level that MEP works on, and that is the work that we are doing in each of our Middle East centers. So these are local community organizations working to advocate with and for low-income communities, to empower those communities and mobilize them into action for their own human, economic, and social rights. we are educating We're educating communities all around the Middle East to civic engagement and political awareness, and our main method in doing that is community organizing. Now, community organizing is a method that connects people, builds solidarity, and engage people. And these actions develop in people a sense of belonging, both to their community and to their country. And people are learning and believing that they can affect large-scale changes. So that means that while I work in Jerusalem with a low-income community in organizing a community-based food co-op, Nuha is working with residents of Old City of Nablus to collectively renovate their houses or make public spaces wheelchair accessible. Now, I have to say that reality in the Middle East has been really stressful, to say the least, in the last decade. There were barely any peace talks, and hostility and violence has grown really significantly between Israelis and Palestinians. But for those of us who live in the Middle East, we were disturbed by another process, which is just as important, a growing process of exclusion of different communities and a growth of inequality, economic inequality. And we could see the outcomes of these processes in what was called here the Arab Spring. Christian related to that earlier, and also what called here the Israeli Summer. And in both cases, we could see large communities rising up, protesting injustice, and demanding that their governments change. So in Israel, for example, a widespread national social movement was formed to protest the high cost of living and more specifically the housing costs. Now, MEP Center in Israel, which is an NGO called Community Advocacy, was actually advocating for the past decade for public housing tenants' rights with some major successes. But in this summer widespread social movement, community advocacy took the role of an expert organization consulting to the leaders of the protest, and the organization's activists took leading roles in local tent cities that were formed around the country, just like Occupy Wall Street that came after. And this is just one example of how a local MEP center really facilitates and supports a wide collective action. Now, I would like to finish with one last really small experience. Once during our year here at McGill, Nuha, Muhammad, and I were about to have dinner together, and we were playing. By that time, Muhammad and I were best friends, and Muhammad picked up a toy gun and shouted, Al-Yahud, which means in Arabic, the Jews. Now, of course, he was referring to Israelis or Israeli soldiers, but to me, that little incident really indicated the relations between our two nations. Each side only sees the enemy, the person with a gun. But looking today, when it happened almost 4 years ago, I can be really hopeful today for two reasons. One is that Muhammad still remembers me, and every time we met since, he made this little drawing for me. Once when I called him before, he picked up the phone and he recognized my voice, which was really exciting. So he remembers, he knows he has a good experience with Israelis that are not the bad people. But on a second level, which is much more powerful, knowing that Nuha and I and over 50 other fellows are doing the same job, we're all committed to this shared vision, that all people share the same rights, gives me hope that sooner than later, communities from both sides will push their leaders to end this century-long dispute. And the work that MEP is doing is just the work that enables communities to act upon their collective goals. And we all help build engaged communities that will become the foundation for a long-lasting peace. Again, hopefully will come sooner than later. Thank you.